I will be completely honest that I was disappointed with the gender. We've known about the gender of the baby for quite a bit of time. I would say, 3 months now, and I didn't feel like it was appropriate to do this amazing gender reveal because I have a lot of issues with gender. You guys know that. I just posted a video about my response to Nikki Tutorials video where I talk about the challenges of gender for me in terms of a societal setting, and I will be completely honest that I was disappointed with the gender, and the disappointment has absolutely nothing to do with the baby, and it has everything to do with my own feelings and my own insecurities about my gender and the role my gender plays in society. And I hesitated posting this video because I know I would get so much backlash, because people would say, oh, you should just be so grateful that you're pregnant and able to carry a baby and find out the gender. You know, you're a terrible mom, or you're a terrible person, blah, 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 blah. But I also want to remain true to my feelings, and for my goal in 2020 and for, you know, the goal of my life is I want to be honest with how I feel. And just because I feel this way doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for everything else that has happened in my life, and just because I feel certain things doesn't discredit other things. And I think it's been hard for me to be super honest the more successful I get, because I think people will see from, you know, a bird's eye view, and they'll see, you know, you have everything. How could you complain? How could you feel sad? How could you feel depressed? How could you be blah, 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 like when you have everything? But yet I cannot discredit my feelings, because to discredit my feelings is a betrayal fundamentally of who I am. So the symptoms of my pregnancy, and I was just like so kind of obsessed with wanting to find out the gender of the baby, because I wanted to start planning. You guys know I'm a control freak, and I wanted to start planning, and I wanted to start buying stuff, or, you know, just, you know, getting names ready and all that kind of stuff. It's really hard to think of names when you don't know the gender. My symptoms were like, I had really dry skin. I was craving salty foods, no sweets. I had a lot of migraines and headaches. Also, the Chinese calendar, was it the Chinese calendar or whatever calendar said it was a boy, and basically all of the symptoms I had would point out to the baby being a boy, including I had this dream of a boy coming out, a baby boy coming out with dry gelled hair. And I also have a brother who's 12 years younger than me, in which I was kind of like a mini mom to him. So I don't know, I had all these visions of the baby being a boy because I was so familiar with raising a baby boy with trains and cars and Thomas the Tank Engines and Legos and Bionicles and stuff like that. So I really had this gut feeling, this intuition, it was a boy. The only symptom that pointed out that it would be a girl was I had extreme morning sickness and nausea, and apparently that's more likely if you have a girl. So at the ultrasound, my partner thought it was a girl, and I was like, no, it is a boy. I know it's a boy. It has to be a boy because I have all these signs, and they say if you dream whatever gender the child is, it's like 75-80% likely it'll be that gender, whatever. So at the ultrasound, the technician asked, who said it was a boy? And I was like, oh, me. And then she said, he's right. And immediately when I heard that, just tears fell down my face. And I think tears fell down my face for a few reasons. I think the first reason was at 18 weeks pregnant, you're not like, you don't really feel stuff. Like you don't feel kicks, you don't feel movement. You just feel nausea and tired and all those like first trimester symptoms. But then it finally registered to me that this fetus growing inside me is actually a baby, is actually a human being. And this baby's genitals are taking shape of, you know, a vagina, right? like as simple as that is, because the ultrasound has to look at the genitals to see what the baby is. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she's an actual human being. And I think it just clicked that like this is actually a real person, you know, that's growing inside of me, because before it was more of a foreign concept. And the second thing I think why I cried was I remember that Great Gatsby quote. And Great Gatsby is one of my favorite books. F. Scott Fitzgerald is one of my favorite authors. And Daisy Buchanan says in the book, when she finds out that her child is a girl, she says, I hope she's a fool, because that's the best thing a girl can be, is a beautiful little fool. And immediately that quote kind of just came up to my head, and I wept, really. I really wept at the ultrasound just silently, because I've struggled with being a girl, I've struggled with being a woman, and I didn't want to have my daughter to have the same struggles as I do. And I'm not saying that men don't have struggles. I think men do have their own struggles, and it's a different way, but I already know kind of the struggles my daughter is gonna have, and when you're a parent, instinctively you just become so overprotective, and I guess I don't want her to live in a world where she's considered a second-class citizen, you know? It has absolutely nothing to do with her, nothing to do with society. It more so has everything to do with me and my experience and my feelings that I need to get over, which I still haven't completely come to terms with. Why was I disappointed it was a girl? Well, first I was disappointed because I thought I could trust my instinct and my gut, and I was so almost positively sure it was a boy. The fact that my gut proved me wrong, I think, was also a huge disappointment, and that, oh, maybe I can't trust myself, you know, in certain situations. So that was part of it. And then the second part of it is all the issues I've had being a woman, especially the more powerful and successful I have gotten. I've had a lot of problems with it, and it's been really, really hard to relate to other people out there because there's very, very few women who are in a similar situation as I am, and it's just really hard to relate to one another, and you feel so lonely. And you know, there's certain nuances that I've experienced by being female. And again, in my video that I've said, there's no iron gate that prevents women. There's not like a huge locked iron gate that prevents women from moving up in a position of power, but there's thousands and millions of different nuances that make it such a higher uphill battle than it is for men to reach a level and a position of power. And when you're born a woman, I still think it is harder, because whenever you're born the lesser power, it's just gonna be harder no matter what. So if you're born in a family that is in poverty, it's gonna be harder no matter what. If you're born in the projects, it's gonna be harder no matter what. If you're born not, like if you're born black, it's gonna be harder. Like these are just the facts. I'm not sugarcoating it. And if you're born a woman, even though this baby is gonna be born in, you know, a very, you know, good family and a very nice home and all that kind of stuff, being a woman is still considered, you know, second class in a lot of societies out there. And I just felt like she's gonna have some of the same struggles I do, and how am I gonna teach her? Like, what am I supposed to say to her in certain situations? So for example, now my daughter, like, I fundamentally know that the first thing people are gonna see about her is the way she looks. People are fundamentally going to judge her by how she looks versus her talents, her personality, her achievements, whatever. Like, women, we are based on the way we look. And if we don't look a certain way, it's much harder for us in society. And that's just the truth and the fact. I'm not sugarcoating it. And I fear that for my daughter, because it's really, really hard to be judged for the way you look. And, you know, a lot of women go through a lot of body dysmorphia, eating disorders. You guys know I struggle with my own appearance, having acne and all that. So is she gonna struggle with the way she looks just like I did, just like so many millions of women do, right? I also know that she's gonna be valued for her youth, because women fundamentally, we are valued in society for youth, and aging is such a death sentence. And, you know, so many of us try to do everything we can to not age. And I'm afraid, is she going to feel the pressure to be young and beautiful all the time, and young, beautiful, skinny all the time? Like, is she gonna feel that way? If she happens to be, you know, like me, very successful, stubborn, ambitious, achievement-oriented, she's going to have to fight a lot to get to where she wants to go to. So if she's gonna work in a corporate environment, and if she wants to move up in the company, to be a woman to do that is gonna be so much harder than if she were just a guy who looked like everybody else, right? Because she's gonna be different from everyone else, so it's gonna be 10 times harder for her. And what do I say to her when she tells me, Mom, they don't take me seriously, or Mom, they call me a bitch, or Mom, I got passed over for this promotion or raise because I'm a woman, or Mom, they don't include me in their, you know, after corporate activities, the boss tried to hit on me, or doesn't take me seriously at work, and just stuff like that. And I don't know what to say to her in those circumstances, because I don't think I figured it out myself. And I felt like if we had a boy, I would kind of avoid those topics, you know, and just let him hoo-ha-rah, you know, up in powers of success. Yeah, because I haven't figured these out personally. I don't know what to tell my daughter. I don't know what to tell her if she wants to be president. Of course, I'm going to support her. Do I tell her all of the stuff that she's going to have to face? If she, you know, wants to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company and there's only 4% of them represented out there, and then also in corporate boards, what do I tell her? Like, should you go for it? Yeah, but should I also tell her how difficult it will be? Should I almost blindly support her when I know how hard it is out there? You know, women, we still get paid 77 cents to the male dollar, and there's all these nuances. Again, it's not like this iron gate or this like literal block that goes in. There's all these little nuances. I feel like that because our society is very capitalistic and patriarchal, there's just tiny little things that I feel like push women down from expressing their rights and from getting them to be the decision makers and kind of in the positions of power that we need. Even, you know, what was it, Alabama? I don't remember which state, but they were discussing abortion laws. And just the fact that even in 2020, there are certain states that are still discussing whether women have the right to figure out what they want to do with their bodies. Like, I just feel like it's 2020, you know, and I feel like women should have advanced so much more than what they've had. And now to bring up a girl and to raise a girl in this world in which things are still not fair, I just felt sad and overprotective, you know, about it. And I've had a lot of question and issues about like how we want to raise our daughter, because all of a sudden when you know the gender, it's like girl clothes, girl headbands, dresses, pink, dolls, Barbies, like all these girly things. Like immediately when they come out of the womb, it's like bam, all this gender is enforced upon them. And you guys know that I struggle with the role society says women should be in. And I don't know if I should, you know, dress my daughter in so much feminine clothing or unisex clothing or masculine clothing, or, you know, give her exposure to more unisex things, or, you know, have her, you know, be more masculine or do more boy things or whatever. Like how do I shape that? And I don't want to shape that. I want her to be who she is. So if she likes boy things, she likes boy things. If she wants to dress like a boy, she can dress like a boy. If she wants to dress like a girl, she can dress like a girl. Like she can be whoever she wants to be. But it's so weird because it's like once you know the gender, it's like all these, like you go down one path or another. You know, my partner, he said that he wants to raise our daughter more like tomboyish. Like he wants her to get into computers and to play video games and to learn how to like do mechanical stuff, like change a car tire and, you know, help out with like handyman work and all that kind of stuff. And while I don't really care so much if that's what she wants to do, then she can do that. I definitely think it's very, very important for our daughter to be very independent, meaning that she can think for herself, she can think on her own. And I think the biggest thing is I don't want her to feel pressured to be what society tells her she should be like, which is something I have suffered with all my life with gender and, you know, female norms. I want her to have the confidence to be who she is, to form opinions on her own. Because I feel like as a woman, if you're not mentally strong and mentally independent like that, you're gonna succumb into so much pressure that women face. You know, we gotta look this way, we gotta be this way, we gotta act this way, we gotta be perfect all the time, blah, 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 blah. And it's so, so hard for a woman these days, especially in this, you know, light of social media and stuff like that. Like, what is our role in society? We're supposed to be feminine and perfect and all this, but yet we're supposed to be this girl boss and all this other stuff. And I think it's very, very confusing for a woman these days. And they actually say that like women, even working women now, are not any happier than women in the 1950s because there's so much that's expected of us and so much pressure, and just this overprotective instinct has made me feel very like you don't want your child to struggle any more than they have to, because life is hard. Why make it harder when they don't fit in or they're not in a position that is considered powerful, right? I want her to be independent and do her thing and be confident. Like that's I think most important for me in raising a child, is for her to be herself and to be very confident in who she is and be respectful and, you know, bring positivity and help the world be a better place, right? Like, don't be a detriment to society, because why else am I going to push you out of my vagina? And I want her to be inspired by very powerful women, and I want her to be tough, you know, to be tough and strong and be who she is, regardless if that is feminine or masculine or whatever in between. I think the most important gift we can give our daughter is the ability for her to be herself, for her to be authentic, for her to be independent, for her to think on her own and make her own decisions and live a life that is truly, truly who she is. and also, you know, be a productive asset in society, like give back, you know, to the planet, to the universe. Like, don't just be a leecher and like make more problems in the world, like try to help, you know, the world in some way. I think that's pretty much that's probably what's most important. So yeah, those are my feelings about our daughter. And, you know, honestly, I'm so blessed that now we are having a daughter, because, you know, even though I wasn't super happy in the beginning, I was actually pretty depressed a couple weeks afterwards. Even my partner was like, you've changed, like you're just not like as happy as you were before. Now I'm very grateful and happy, because I honestly think, like, who better to raise a daughter than us as parents in this day and age? Like, imagine like having a mom like me, you know, like that is so cool, right? That is so cool. Like she can really see that she can do anything she wants to. If she has a dream, she can go for it, and she don't need no one, you know, or nothing to go after it. She can go and do it, and she can see the value of hard work. She can see the value of mental discipline. She can see that you can be who you want to be, and you don't have to fit in like everybody else. And she can learn to think for herself and think on her own. And I think that's so important. I think that's more important than being this perfect parent that does everything for their kids. I think it's more important to set a good example, you know, to your child about living your most authentic life and living your most authentic truth. So we're very happy to welcome our daughter in a couple of months, which I cannot believe, 2 to 3 months. I cannot believe that it's happening. Like, I don't know, it's just gone by so fast. But I think I've learned so much from being pregnant and growing a human being inside of me, because other than the physical changes, I've learned a lot about myself, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And yeah, they say when you have a child, you want to be a better person for them. And I think that even though I'm far from perfect, I can still figure out what is most important to us as parents and share those values to our family. I do wanted to share my story and be completely honest with you. And so excited to welcome our daughter. Thank you all so much for watching and for listening to this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.